Hello, everyone. Welcome to another NAHREP virtual event hosted by the amazing group that actually we have here in this panel. My name is Neil Turk, the founder of Sucasa.com, and we have an amazing event that we're going to be covering today. An amazing topic to show many of us how we can actually position ourselves for growth in this underserved and growing market. Today, we're going to talk about the business imperative for growth in what we call non-traditional markets. So today I have a distinguished panel led by four of the top producers actually here in the US. First, we have Victoria De Luca, who is from the Federal Savings Bank. Victoria, welcome.
Hello, mi familia.
There you go. Then we also have Marta Tataje from Truist out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, Marta.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. We also have Jose Plasencia from New American Funding. Jose, my good friend, how are you?
Good, brother. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you. And lastly, but not least, we also have Steven Carpatella from Equity Prime Mortgage. Steven, welcome to the event.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Hey, listen, guys. So we have a lot of things going on in the market right now. But one of the things that we've noticed at NAHREP is that we have noticed how many, I guess I'll say professionals, whether they're lenders or agents, they're looking for ways to actually complement their business and also serve this market, right? Now, when many of us think of the Hispanic market, we tend to think about the traditional markets, the Californias of the world, the New Yorks, the Florida, and so forth, right? But what's happening is if many of us actually studied at least some of the demographic trends and also got to see the State of Hispanic Homeownership report, we noticed that Latinos have actually been shifting in the areas, right? Many actually are leaving California, leaving New York, and so forth, and they're going to states like Georgia, North Carolina, Indiana, and even Idaho. So I know some of you guys actually have done have left your traditional markets. I know, Jose, you left, for example, California. Victoria, you left Chicago, and you guys went to either Nashville or also Atlanta. Tell me this, what's been your experience? Do you think, for example, that there is less business in these areas, or actually have you been impressed by actually the markets actually and how big the Latino markets actually are in Atlanta, Nashville, Charlotte, and so forth?
I'll go first. So yeah, I think it's a hidden gem, to be honest. Nobody saw it years ago. I mean, for example, my family and I, we moved down here in 2006. And it just happened. It wasn't one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, we're being the economy master and we want to move to Atlanta. It just happened. And it's one of those things where like back then, 10, 15 years ago, I was like, oh my God, there's a bunch of trees out here. We're in the middle of nowhere, you know, but now if you look at like today, it's one of those things where we're like, oh, wow, if anything, we moved ahead of the right time because we're seeing so much growth over here, to be honest. We're seeing so much growth. You know, we all know the inventory crisis the whole country is facing, you know, nationwide. And Atlanta's one of those top 5 cities for growth. And we're seeing like all these, for example, these builders, new construction, they're chopping down the trees, they're building the homes left and right. The resale market's incredible. It's hot, you know, so it's one of those things where like, yeah, I do see whether you're California, you know, Texas, Chicago, Florida, up north, Jersey, New York, all these people, they're all coming down to the Southeast. So yeah, I see a huge opportunity up for grabs. That's my opinion.
Awesome. Hey, what about you, Victoria? You left Chicago, 7 months ago, and now you're in Nashville. What's been your experience?
Yeah, so we wanted to, go somewhere that was kind of booming, something different, and of course, affordability. Real estate taxes in Chicago were just continuing to climb. And we looked at North Carolina. We also looked at Tennessee. And when we came down here, I was pleasantly surprised to see how many Latinos were already here. But this is just the beginning. It is just now starting to boom. And I mean, our history is that we are mostly migrant workers and we're going to go where the jobs are. So there are so many job opportunities here in the greater Nashville market, and not just Nashville, we're talking Knoxville and Memphis too. So of course you've got people that are coming here for the jobs, which in turn are looking to purchase homes because Latinos, believe in home ownership, and the affordability piece too, where people are coming in droves from California, from Illinois, from New York, because the real estate taxes here are, a fraction of what they are in these other states, not to mention it's a no state tax state. So it's a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth happening here, and an opportunity, as Jose mentioned, for us to come in and continue to serve our community. And we're also seeing that more professionals are also starting to come in to the state because they're underserved. So we're seeing all of that as well, which has been, again, pleasant and very nice growth.
That's a great perspective. And now I know Charlotte. Marta, you're in Charlotte. Tell us about Charlotte, because I know Charlotte actually has a big Hispanic population. Tell us about it.
Yes, actually, we really do. And me being one of them, I actually came down from Cincinnati, Ohio about 20 years ago. And we saw an immigration of like 70,000 people a month, it seemed like. I mean, there was a lot of people then, even 20 years ago. And now, we, as far as the Latino population, we are growing, and we're projected to grow faster than any other population here in the Charlotte market, than any other ethnicity, where the other ethnicities actually will see a deficit. We expect to add about close to 200,000 more Latinos in population here in the upcoming decades. Yes, so we need a place to live. So, as everyone else has talked about already, there's a big housing inventory crisis that has got everybody's attention, and we're all talking about it, and mainly because of the fact that a major percentage of our Latino population will be driving that housing market. So here in Charlotte, we have something that is the comprehensive 2040 plan, where the city itself has put together a plan of how to address the housing inventory crisis that now we're involved in as an organization, as an NAHREP, as our government affairs group is. And we are in a position now to give input, to the city as to, why is it important for them to pay attention to the demographics of the Hispanic population here in Charlotte in relation to the housing plan that they're setting, they're putting forth.
Great. So, Stephen, I mean, you're in the Southeast as well. What's been your experience with the Hispanic population, and actually, how are you guys serving it?
Yeah, I think everybody hit the nail on the head. Like, necessity is the mother of invention, right? Water will find a way. Like, people are looking to migrate overall to less costly environments, looking for opportunity in terms of housing. People moving into new areas creates new mini economies, and that's basically what we're seeing. It's the byproduct of this mass migration that we've seen throughout the country in the last 18 months.
That's awesome. Let me ask you this, because I know your companies. I know all your companies, and I've noticed how you guys are doing very well with the Hispanic community, serving them with loans, all the things that actually go into the home buying process. How are you guys reaching out and marketing yourself to the Latino communities out there? Stephen, if you don't mind, go ahead first.
Yeah, I think in general, we're more of a referral-based business network, and building trust is a huge part. So being, informing and educating our clients, building that word of mouth. But organizations like NAHREP and other nonprofits give us optics, right? Like, people see us and see that we're serving these communities, and that's helping also put a spotlight on us and helping us reach out to more individuals.
What about you, Marta? I know you guys do a lot.
Well, actually, yes. What's important to Truist is that we have a long-term game plan. It's not just a flash in the pan. It's important that the leadership from the top down are involved, so that you have the longevity. No matter who's with your company, if I were to leave the company, then there's a succession plan, right, as to how to stay involved in the community. So from the top down, I mean, we have the involvement as far as giving performance grants to the HUD certified nonprofits in relation to down payment assistance. We feel that's important. But also, aside from just writing a check, what we really feel is important is lending our leadership skills to the community. So it's about getting involved. And so, one of the reasons why is that I'm involved with NAHREP, and we have quite a number of other employees that are involved in making connections with the Latino leaders in the community and making sure that they know who we are, we know who they are, and what do they do, and how is it then can we start piecing together? And this is the really important part. How do you start piecing together and interlocking all of the services and I would say the facilities, the resources that each of us have in order to address the issues of our Latino community, so that we're not operating in just the silo. So that's really super important. So that if we all knew what we all were doing, then we can enhance what we're doing and making sure that our Latino community are properly served.
That's awesome. I mean, to hear you say that you're not only touching the leaders, but also the community itself, so that they can also all be covered. It's a big undertaking. So I commend you for that. How about you, Jose?
Yeah, well, first things first, I would say, yeah, like it falls back on, well, not falls back, but like we use NAHREP a ton for leverage, because when we reached out to our local markets, I'm talking about like these realtor boards, I'm talking about these chamber of commerces, these nonprofit orgs. The majority of the time when I did it was really when I was on the NAHREP Atlanta board. So I wouldn't approach them as Jose, the loan officer, Jose, the lender. I would approach them as Jose, the treasurer, Jose, the president for the NARP Atlanta chapter. So I would kind of tell them like, hey, this is exactly what we do. This is what our organization does as a whole. And how can we help you? And it was one of those things where they'll be like, okay, they'll connect us to the consumers, to like the real estate professionals in the area. And that's what I used to use for leverage. As far as like direct actual consumer engagement, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you have to know your product, you have to know your territory. Like, we're part of the same culture. So that's how I'll pitch it. I'll say, hey, look, we're the same. Don't be nervous because I work for the bank, or don't be nervous because, you see my face on the business card. Like, we're from the same cloth. So like, let's say like a good example is once a quarter, we'll throw client appreciation parties. Pretty much like we'll pick like a venue, or we just do like a Latino style fiesta, Latino style carne asada, with a DJ and all that good stuff. And everybody that we helped in the past, like we'll invite 100 past clients and they come, but we tell them, hey, you're allowed one guest. Just come on. We're not going to try to pitch you. We're not even going to talk about how to become a homeowner. We just want you to come and have fun. And that helps a ton. They come on, it's the guy to help me get the house. Oh, it's the guy de la casa. Oh, perfecto, chévere, chévere. All that good stuff. And that's how we get the leverage.
The guy with the comida and then la casa.
Exactly. So just different angles, but yeah, I would say NAHREP, especially like when I was on the front line for the Atlanta chapter, that played a huge role. And then, yeah, we have different techniques when we're trying to get them face to face, head on with the direct consumer.
Awesome. Victoria, you're new to the Nashville area. I know that the Federal Savings Bank was already there, but you being new, how is the bank reaching out to the community, and how are you also doing it?
So we have presence here, but not presence where it's out in the community. We have a consumer direct office. So these guys are not out meeting people face to face, they're on the phone. So for us, it's very similar to what everyone's saying, but it's a lot of grassroots efforts for us, and of course, building that trust. But we also want to hire people that look like them, that speak the language. So we are also looking to bring in, young professionals, people right out of college, younger people, teaching them the business, building leaders. And that way people are seeing who they're working with, who their assistants are, who the processors are, but building that trust. And we do it all built on referrals as well. We do good for one family and we just keep it going. And with our communities, with the Latino community, that's kind of how it goes. Even with the job aspect, how is it that so many people come here? It's all word of mouth, all word of mouth. And the same thing goes for business. It's all word of mouth. It's like, hey, compadre, comadre, hay trabajo aquí. There's a job here. Hey, guess what? My tío, my aunt, they got a mortgage down the street and they did a good job for us. It's all word of mouth, and it's being able to use Jose's word to leverage, but not just leverage the trust factor with the clients that you're working with, but also with the partners that you have, like NAHREP and other non-for-profits as well.
Let's talk about trust. You just mentioned trust right now. I know Stephen also actually mentioned trust just a little while ago. How are you guys individually building that trust? I know it takes time, right? I mean, people are not just going to jump on that from the first get-go. But how are you individually all building that type of trust with the community or even individual clients?
Okay, I'll go first. I think it's the face-to-face interaction. And that's kind of, taking us, to that next level where, yeah, we're still marketing to our clients through social media channels and other marketing, ways, but there's nothing like that face-to-face interaction. And we're all coming out of the pandemic and there's light at the end of the tunnel. So we had a lot of Zoom, we had a lot of FaceTimes where clients wanted to see who they were working with. And I think the moment that they see who they're working with and people that look like them, that speak their language, that builds trust. But also, doing what you say you're going to do. Say what you do what you mean, and mean what you say. And that way it just kind of carries for itself. And that's how we build trust with clients.
Amazing. What about you, Marta? I know you actually have a good business going. How have you built trust? How is the company also doing it?
Yes, it's really important. I can think back now. I've been with the company 17 years, right? And over the course of the 17 years, we've seen the Latino community evolve. And as it has evolved, it's important to stay engaged. So it's not just me staying engaged in like a wonderful organization like NAHREP, and I'm on the 4th year on the board, but also it's me as an employee bringing in non-Hispanics from the company into the Latino community and making sure that they are also educated on the community. So it's a long-term approach as to how, and everyone said it, how is it that you start building trust, and not that we are at the table with our hand outstretched. It's more so that we are giving a hand, right? And we want to make sure that people are aware of what resources they have available in order to enrich their lives. So then we're there to listen. Listening it's key, and not just by showing up at events, and that's really good, but you need to be able to position yourself to listen to what the community is telling you, and then taking that rich information and then making something out of that. For us, we heard loud and clear that the Latino community would like to see their documents, their mortgage documents in Spanish. So we translated their mortgage documents in Spanish, and whether or not they are bilingual or not, we give them that opportunity to have that documentation in Spanish. And then we say to them, and by the way, you may not need this documentation, but please show it to your abuelita or to your tia or tios, and show them how easy it is for you to have a piece of the American dream here, to buy a home, and to share those documents with folks. So that's part of I guess the actions that we offer to show that you can trust us, you can trust me. We're a company that's putting forth the effort to really try to make it comfortable and familiar, for someone to go through our process in buying a home.
That's big. That shows a lot. What about you, Jose? How are you guys building trust besides, getting some good food?
The biggest thing is show them with action. I mean, obviously, yeah, like talk to them, but walk the walk. Like one thing I do is show them the stats. Of course, to get someone to trust you, it's not going to be the first time. You got to get them to feel comfortable, get them to like you. Then the trust comes, then they finally use you. So my thing is, I'm big on showing the stats. If we're talking about like from the company perspective, I mean, New America, the owner's Latina, Patty, Mexicana. So that's one stat right there. Show them the stats with how much business we wrote, just Latino paper, Hispanos, the Latino focus campaign. I show them with stats, but then also when I talk to them, you got to stay humble. That's like the biggest thing. It's like people could feel that, especially like in the Southeast, we have like that hybrid of cultures. Yeah, we all speak Spanish, but the Puerto Rican Spanish is very different from the Mexican Spanish, so it's one of those where like a lot of times when people come to your office face to face, or you're talking to someone over the phone, people could feel it if you really are trying to take care of them, or if you're just trying to sell them a used car, so that's the biggest thing, to show them with action. And then after that, if they, you really mean from the heart, then you're going to knock it out. That's just me.
I love that. Let me ask you guys this, because this is something that I think some producers actually sometimes struggle with regards to where they work. And it comes down to leadership, right? How are the business leaders where you guys work, how are you guys actually positioning the opportunity, the business opportunity that actually exists with the Hispanic market? Stephen, I'll pass it over to you. I know Eddie. Eddie is actually, of course, Hispanic as well. He's a great, great leader, and he lives this. How are you working with him on the business side actually to make sure that they can continue that going?
Yeah, we're working on a lot of opportunities right now. Eddie's obviously, a busy guy out and about. Knows a lot of people, make a lot of connections, and we're working on several projects right now to tap into some of these markets and continue to bring on and culture and cultivate the future Hispanic and Latino originators and processors and closers and underwriters, really making an investment and not only conducting business but also creating the job opportunities that come along with it. So yeah, we're very busy right now with a lot of pans in the fire.
That's great to hear. It's not only about having a bilingual LO that actually does the work, but also having the back end to also support it. So well said.
Correct.
How about you, Victoria? How are you guys doing? Actually, how are you convincing your business leaders to actually kind of take a look at this even further?
Yeah, Federal Savings Bank started this journey a few years before I ever joined the bank. So they started bringing in talent that were bilingual, operations, assistants, processors, closers, funders. You walk into headquarters and it's so cool to see it, especially the first time that I walked into the office. I think 60% of the people were all Hispanic, and I was floored. And that was impressive to me when they told me, hey, you're going to have a Spanish-speaking processor, you're going to have a Spanish-speaking assistant, which is great. 70% of my clients that are Latino speak English, but still, for that 30-40%, they want to have that comfort level. And not just being able to grow leaders within the organization, but also bringing them in, molding them. We've got a junior banker program that we're teaching them the business. I'm going to be out of the business in 15 years. Don't try to guess my age. But, we got to start, bringing in that next group of people to teach them the business from the ground up on how to go out and be hunters and learn the business, as Jose mentioned, humbly and with the right intentions, with the right attitude, the right heart. And I think the leadership is very dedicated with, the growth that the Hispanic community is having, that they want to continue to be in the communities that we serve. They want to continue to partner up with non-for-profits just like NAHREP. We support chapters all over the country, and we're going to continue to support because we know exactly where we want to head and who we want to continue to help. And it's one family at a time.
Great. Marta, Truist, SunTrust, BB&T, you guys have done it for a while. How are you also doing more there to actually bring in the business leaders to actually do more there?
Well, we invited our area and divisional managers to NAHREP events, and to actually have them experience who we are, and to give them opportunity to present at last year it was virtual, but before then, in-person events, and showing up and feeling that just the warmth of our organization for one, and then that's what I would get all the time from the leadership that would happen to be non-Latino. It's like, wow, it's such an inviting group. That I'm immediately embraced when I go there is what they would tell me, and that's amazing to have that sort of experiences, to note, well, wow, then this is an opportunity to bring that into the workplace, right? And that's where you have your hiring strategies, which we do have now, where we really want to fill in the mortgage loan offers receipts with as many bilinguals, not necessarily Hispanic, but people who understand the culture as much as possible. And with leadership taking a look at what a benefit and value it is to bring into your work culture the Hispanic culture and what that means, and it just brightens up the day for one. Secondly, you take a look at the richness of the information available through NAHREP, and I was very fortunate to be able to tap into NAHREP's information that they provided, and to take that to our leadership. right? And it's part of us. I think we have a responsibility of taking that information and then laying it out for our leadership to understand, well, what does this mean, and what is the business case for us, to develop different strategies around what is to be right here in the next couple of decades. And for us, it was, well, why we need to be lending to DACA recipients. That's one of the things that actually materialized out of the information that NAHREP was able to provide. So now we have documents that are translated in Spanish. We have the experience from the beginning to the end of the process with employees who are bilingual, and now we can do the DACA recipient lending under FHA. So it's all these pieces that are coming together, and it's just being open to the opportunity of what the culture of the Latino culture can bring to your workplace.
That's a great summary there. Jose, New American, you guys definitely lead there as well. Tell us how you guys actually are kind of bringing in leaders also to actually impact this side of the community.
Yeah, so the good thing is, pretty much the NAHREP has played a huge role when it comes to getting them in, to our side at least, because they're already big partners throughout nationwide. And I would say just the support is there when we need them to come, for some event, the technology as well, but usually when there's an event going on, they usually call me before I call them. So it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, cool. It's like a given, and just other events throughout, involve Latino focus, they're already there. So, I would say the support is in there when we come to getting the upper leadership involved. And then once we go live back to the in-person events, we're going to pretty much, pick up where we left off, because we offer everybody here on the panel. Last year was a rollover. Yeah, we had the virtuals, which, they went a long way, but nothing like the good old fashioned face-to-face. So. Mm-hmm.
Very well said. So guys, I'm going to close out with one last question. And at the end of the day, listen, we all want to take care of our families by, doing more business and increasing our profit share in a way, right? So my question is built to serve some of the people that are listening and show them how they could also grow their business. So with that said, here's the question. How have partnerships, whether it's actually with nonprofits or even groups like NARP, for example, help you serve the community better? Are there cases, examples that you guys can give us, or things that people could actually probably implement to actually, maybe start and begin that growth process and serve this community as well? Stephen, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think obviously NAHREP, not to sound like they're beating a dead horse here. Everyone's got pretty much living along the same lines here. NAHREP's just a big entity, draws a lot of attention, and using that leverage, as Jose put it, is a big deal. I think that awareness about the homeownership journey that's available to the Hispanic Latino communities is paramount to everything, right? The education, it is possible to own a home, and educating and informing along the way, and bringing every program we can to light to someone's doorstep and showing them the way on how they can make it happen. But yeah, NAHREP's a big deal for us in making that happen.
Awesome. How about you, Victoria?
Ooh, I got lots of answers for that one. Just being able to partner up with so many different non-for-profits to be able to educate, and educating our community is probably, and I think we can all agree, is the most important thing for us to do to our community. And it starts with your partners. It starts with NAHREP. It starts with your realtors. It starts, with the other not-for-profits, like IDA that's in Chicago, THDA here in Tennessee. So just having that, platform and that stage to educate our clients and to tell them, hey, maybe they're not qualified today. And you asked to give you examples. So here's a great example where we have somebody that, might have an I-10. Well, these are the things that you need to do. And this is the non-for-profit you have to work with to be able to get that I-10 number. You have to file taxes for 2 years. And guess what? In 2 years, you're going to be able to qualify for that home with X amount down for down payment. This is what your rate's going to look like. But at least they're on a path, and it's a path to home ownership, which is the American dream. And those are countless examples that we can give, and not just for I-10, also for DACA, also for the clients that don't have very good credit. There's always that path, and it starts with educating. And again, NAHREP is a huge, huge, huge thing for all of us to continue to partner with, because it starts with us.
That's great. Martha, you guys do a lot. Please share.
Yes, I think it goes back to my opening comment. You know, it's making sure that you know who are the leaders in the community. What are the organizations that help out the community? The more you can interlock each other, then the more you'll be integrated into the community. And you go there not with your hand outstretched like this, you go there to lend a hand. Right. You know, so it's important that, you know, we go into community and you see how it is that you can educate. And I think that's important. NAHREP is super wonderful and giving us all this information that we need to then take and then spread that love, spread all the word to all these organizations. They should know everything there is to know about our Bible, the 2020 Homeownership Report, right? And go out there and send it on up the chain, and then take the next step, and that would be to advocate. Educate, then to advocate, because the work doesn't stop just there. And I think, you know, and I'm humbled to be here among all these other panelists, that we have seen what it is that we can do to help a community in the long run, and that is by staying engaged.
Thank you, Martha. We're actually glad and blessed to have you as well. So thank you for joining us today. Jose, we'll close it out with you.
Yeah, I would say just like the power of networking. You know, like, for example, there's something that I can't do. I don't like to say, no, I can't. Good luck. You know, let me know what you find. Like, it's always good to have like that role index that, like, hey, like, for example, I have a lot of contacts here in the local area. Like, they work for depositories. You know, like, if I can do a certain program that they could do, then I'll tell the client, hey, look, I got my colleague down the street that could do it. Here you go. But vice versa. If there's something they can do, you know, like a 2 or 3K or something else like that, then they'll throw it my way. You know, it's kind of like just helping each other out, but the end goal is making sure we take care of like the client, you know, and kind of like Martha said, like educating, you know, like kind of like knowing your resources, knowing like, you know, the power of networking and educating, you know. And another thing too, aside from, you know, like residential stuff, commercial, we're seeing a lot more of that stuff. And it's also good to have those types of contacts too. It's one of those things where, like, you'll ask me like, hey, do you do commercial? No, we do not. But here you go. The contact 1, contact 2. And it's one of those things where that goes a long way, because I won't hear from that prospect or lead, whatever you want to call them, for a few months. And then later on, they throw me 2, 3 referrals, only because I said, yes, not me, but here's somebody else that could take care of you. You know, so we keep the circle going. That's what it's all about.
You've done the right thing for that person, and that other person can definitely help them out. So awesome, man. Well, guys, you are listening to top producers. You're listening to leaders within the different communities, as we sometimes call them non-traditional markets. But the reality is that non-traditional markets are here to stay, and they're going to keep on growing and growing and growing. And there's a lot of business in these non-traditional markets. So we hope you enjoyed this virtual event. We hope you got some good golden nuggets to use for your business. And from here on out, guys, it's actually really up to you. If we can help you more, please let us know. So until the next time, enjoy the NARP virtual events. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, thank you.
Nice to share this screen with all of you amazing people.
Great to have you guys. Be good.
Until soon. Bye.
All right.